What is up YouTube, and welcome to this Transformers War for Cybertron Siege video. Yes, that is a very long title. This is a new 6-part show from Allspark Animation and Rooster Teeth, the latter of which I am a huge fan of, and it is the first in a trilogy, with the second part being called Earthrise and the third being called Kingdom. Now, the show is essentially the start of the Bumblebee movie and the best of the recent Transformers movie, which is set entirely on Cybertron this time, so we get to see some of the best bits of the history of the Transformers. We see a war-torn, ravaged Cybertron with Megatron, the dictator, in charge, as the rest of his Decepticons hunt down the rest of the Resistance, which are, of course, Optimus Prime's Autobots. The show has some very mixed reviews, complaining that it is too dark or just a bit too short, but I don't really agree with that at all. I absolutely loved it, and it does pee all over Michael Bay's entire output for Transformers. I couldn't stand the Bay movies despite seeing all of them at the cinema, but I have action amnesia, and I don't remember anything at all except loving the backstory of the War for Cybertron and the entire lore of that being the best parts of these movies. If you're like me, then you would absolutely love this. Having binged the many different Netflix shows this year like Cursed, Umbrella Academy and Dark, I love them all and I absolutely appreciate how long they are, but I do love how this show is essentially 6 25-minute episodes, so it absolutely is able to be bingeable in just about 3 hours. And yes, there could have been a lot more exposition and information about how the war came to be, because they mention many things like the matrix of leadership, the Guardians, and kind of hint towards the Quintessence. But of course there is a lot of potential there, and the show does what it does very well, all within its very limited time frame. I was never obsessed with Transformers as a kid, besides watching Gen 1 when it was on TV, so I have no loyalty towards any sort of version of the Transformers, but I did absolutely think this is the most enjoyable Transformer property apart from the Bumblebee movie. Now, before we carry on, there will be spoilers as we're discussing the whole show and the ending, but please do consider subscribing with notifications on if you want more from us, and like the video if you enjoyed it. So we essentially start off with Bumblebee and Wheeljack looking for Energon, which is the absolute power device that they need to, well, power everything on the ravaged Cybertron. But Bumblebee is yet to actually become the warrior we know and love, and his story was great throughout this, and we learn how he starts to pick a side and becomes the Bumblebee we know and love. They're ambushed by the Seekers, including Jetfire and Starscream, just after it's revealed that they accidentally found a space bridge. This would allow the Autobots to change the tide of war, and we sense tension between Starscream and Jetfire as Megatron appears. The voice acting is next level, with everyone's favourite robot appearing, Prime, who saves the day, and Bumblebee ends up having to help the Autobots. Now, Ultra Magnus meets with Prime, and they shared leadership, with the Alpha Trion protocols being with Magnus and Prime having the matrix of leadership, but Magnus goes to Megatron to sort a treaty, which fails majorly because he's just tired of war. Now, the MacGuffin of the show is the Allspark, which you may remember from the Michael Bay movies, as Shockwave manages to learn the actual legendary life-bringing device is real. The Allspark is the item which can absolutely bring life to machines and is thought to be a myth before Alpha Trion's work helped Shockwave to find it. Now, Megatron wants to use it to basically have a weapon and turn the Autobots into Decepticons in a sort of way, and, well, he shares this, and Megatron's voice, his whole plan, is broadcast over to Magnus, and Magnus shares it with the rest of the Autobots. It could be used to search for it, but the Autobot base is depleted almost of Energon, and all hell breaks loose when the Autobots try and get more of that, as they think they found the Allspark, but it's a block of pure Energon. Now, luckily, Bumblebee gets it, and Ratchet is found surveying the battlefields and finds Decepticons clinging to life, and Megatron's favourite soldier, who he thinks is dead, is still alive. Now, Prime thinks that what if he can take the Allspark off-world so Megatron can never use it as a weapon, but it's thought that Cybertron would actually be destroyed if that happens. I really like in reality there is no true great side, as Megatron and the Decepticons were assigned their own work, which was on back-breaking labour and soldier work, while the Autobots lived a perceived life of luxury. It had depth that was missing from the Bay movies, and it questions the lengths that people would go to win, as Ultra Magnus would not shoot Megatron in the back, and Jetfire questions the idea of killing all of the Autobots in a genocide. It would lose kind of what they aim to be. Megatron's propaganda is also interesting, as well as he spins the Autobots' plans as wanting to destroy all robots. And Megatron was kind of altruistic in his original idea of bringing an uprising the workers, but he wants to do awful things to win and put an end to the war. Now, Ultra Magnus, after torture, leads the Decepticons to the Tarnhouse Gate to find the Autobot Command under an Alpha Trion memorial, the grandfather of the revolution and Prime's mentor against the Quintessence. However, more on them later. They have been led to an empty room, and Magnus is killed as Prime senses this, and the Trion particles have been enabled and passed to someone else, as Jetfire starts to turn against Megatron, questioning what happened. Prime goes to seek the Guardians for help, who have stayed out of the war. They haven't picked a side between the Autobots and the Decepticons, but they are the huge thing that could be used to turn the tide of war. So they're kind of staying out of this. They're sort of neutral there, as Bumblebee is revealed to have the Alpha Trion protocols, which protect the wisdom of all Autobots, while Prime has the Matrix of Leadership, which holds the wisdom of Primes, sort of like the Black Panther thing when he sees his dad, as Jetfire now joins the Autobots, and they search for Energon begins and the Allspark as they go to Sound Blaster, a mercenary, to steal some Energon and get the power needed to try and destroy everything and work out a way to use the Allspark for good or get it off the planet, as the virus that was designed to actually destroy the Autobots starts to work, and well, this starts to ravage all of Cybertron's infrastructure, a risk that our boy Megatron will take. And well, this actually uncloaks the Ark, the Autobot base. Prime and Co head to the Sea of Rust to find the Allspark. Bumblebee manages to destroy the virus, and an all-out war occurs. After the Allspark is revealed, causing the Sparkless zombies to die, and Prime and Megatron fight for control of the Allspark, as Megatron and Prime fight, which is sadly only a short one, which is a total shame. Prime throws the Allspark through the space bridge, so, well, that means that no one can have it. The Guardians Omega Supreme intervenes, and it remains to be seen which side the rest of them will join, but I expect they will split up into different factions. Prime and the Autobots board the Ark to chase the Allspark, but Alita stays in a heartbreaking moment, as she wanted a life of peace with Prime, but she must stay and defend Cybertron, as their war has not ended. The Ark leaves as Alita and Jetfire stay to fight Megatron's forces as the space bridge is destroyed. The Ark's computer, Teletron 1, beeps in a post-credit scene, saying an unknown vessel is approaching. Now, who could that be? Well, there are a myriad of options, as throughout the show, other actual planets are mentioned, such as mining worlds, so it could be someone from there. But the next part of the trilogy is called Earthrise, so it could be that they have crash landed on Earth, as it's a planet which has been visited by Transformers throughout history. It could also be the Quintessence, who ruled Cybertron and used it as a factory, enslaving all of the Autobots and Decepticons. Now, considering that this was mentioned quite a lot throughout the series, I do expect it to be them, as they also have a history of going through dimensions. So this is also mentioned in the Gen 1 cartoon as well, where Decepticons were used as miners and the Autobots were used as domestic slaves. There's also a toy line for the Quintessence, so I do think that, and they haven't really reached Earth yet, and I think that Earthrise is a red herring. Chapter 3, Kingdom, could be all about Earth, with Earthrise split between Cybertron, and maybe Megatron finds the location of another Allspark located on Earth, which I think would be really cool. However, let me know what you think in the comments. Did you enjoy it? I absolutely loved it. It was short, sweet, and just really full of lore and great moments and voice acting. But that's it for this video. Please drop a like down below if you enjoyed it, and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss a video. And I'll see you soon, and goodbye.